an old videotape plays the wedding of Francis and Iris. Everyone is having fun, but Francis' brother Diego doesn't look exactly happy. In the present, the zombie apocalypse has taken over the world, so Francis is driving his family to his parents' home in the countryside. When they finally arrive, Francis enters the house alone at first to check for any danger. In his parents' room, he's devastated to discover that his father has self-deleted because he was infected. Francis takes the gun and the watch before returning to the hallway, where he finds his mother apologizing. It turns out she's become a zombie and bit her husband. Suddenly, she collapses and starts crawling toward her son, repeating the word sorry. Francis has no choice but to shoot her. Afterward, Francis buries both his parents and his family finally gets to enter the house. Iris and the kids decide to take a nap, but the trauma doesn't let Francis sleep. He decides to check a pump outside and he's relieved to confirm that the water is safe to drink, so his sons rush to get some. When they bring the bags to the house, Iris reveals she hid cigarettes with the medicine and starts smoking, which Francis disapproves of. Joshua notices a bar nearby, so Francis agrees to explore with him. Lucas doesn't want them to go because it may be dangerous, but Francis assures him it's fine and leaves him with his soldier doll and his mother. On the way to the barn, Joshua notices that Francis is now wearing the watch. When they go inside, they're happy to find some chickens, but unfortunately they also find a body. It's one of the servants, who self-deleted because he was bitten too. Francis forces Joshua to get the keys from the body, so Joshua pulls and pulls until the body falls on top of him. The poor boy is terrified, but Francis is unbothered. Joshua rushes to the pump to wash himself, so Iris is worried, but Francis only tells her that they saw a body. Then he gives Lucas a sugar cane he just got from the plantation so he can taste what real sugar is like. In the basement, the couple finds a generator. There's also a small bed and drawings on the wall, a reference to Francis' abusive childhood. He gathers his strength to enter the room and checks the generator, but it has no gas. The bad memories are putting him on the verge of a breakdown, so Iris helped him leave. On the wall, a drawing shows an adult shooting a kid. For dinner, the family has rice and eggs, although Francis makes them pray first. Lucas keeps munching on the sugar cane, so his parents have to force him to drop it. Joshua tries to turn on the radio, but Francis makes him turn it off. Iris wonders what they'll do tomorrow since food won't last forever, so Francis thinks staying is their best option. They have clean water and it's safer than the city. An irritated Iris reminds him that everyone is going north and thinks they should go too. Lucas and Joshua agree since they want to see their friends. Francis refuses and decides they'll stay. After dinner, Joshua goes outside to try to text his girlfriend and looks at old videos of her. Unfortunately, his phone runs out of battery and there's no power to recharge it. Francis watches him from the window and Iris takes the chance to point out that he's harsh with Joshua but sweet with Lucas, so he should treat their sons equally. That night, Francis keeps having nightmares about the horrible things that happened to him in the basement. When he snaps awake, Iris has to hold him to calm him down. The next day, Iris tells Francis that the effect this place has on him makes it not safe to say. Francis admits he made a mistake, but he finds it ironic as she thinks about their future together after what she did to him. Iris points out that if she had confessed earlier they wouldn't be together and have Lucas, so Francis announces he's ready to move on as she is. The family leaves in the car and decides to go north like everyone else. Joshua mentions that his uncle Diego also went north, and Francis is angry to learn that Diego called Iris before they left the city. He wonders why he didn't call him, so Iris points out that Francis wouldn't answer Diego's calls. Now Francis thinks that Iris wants to go north because Diego is there, but Iris denies it, so an argument ensues. They're interrupted by Joshua yelling to make them stop the car. It turns out the bridge is blocked by abandoned vehicles and a military fence. Iris thinks there's enough room for the car to pass through and they can just move the fence. However, Francis thinks the military put the fence for a reason and points out it's getting dark. When Francis says they shall go back, Iris refuses and gets out of the car. Then she tries to move the fence to no avail. As Iris tries to use a blade to destroy the fence, a zombified soldier appears behind her repeating, "Pass, please." Iris runs from it as fast as possible until Francis tells her to get down. Once she's on the ground, Francis opens fire to kill the zombie. While the couple reunites, another zombie appears behind them. Joshua honks the car horn to alert them and Francis moves quickly to shoot this zombie too. Unfortunately, the horn gets the attention of a bunch of zombies, who surround the car and make the kids shriek in horror. Francis wants to kill them all, but Iris is worried about her sons, so Francis shoots only one zombie to get their attention. The horde immediately starts chasing after Francis, who shoots them one by one as they approach. This gives Iris time to get the kids out so they can run away together. When Francis runs out of bullets, he grabs a grenade from the dead soldier before climbing on top of a car. As he jumps from vehicle to vehicle, the zombies try to grab it, but Francis hits them with a gun so he can keep moving. Once he's far enough, he throws the grenade to kill the whole horde with a single explosion. Afterward, the family returns to the house on foot, and Francis tells Iris they've already tried it her way, so now they'll do his. 2 weeks later, Francis returns to the bridge and gets in his car. It's still working, but after he starts it, he hesitates to drive. In the afternoon, Francis rides home on foot while dragging some supplies on a makeshift stretcher. Iris wonders why he didn't bring the car, so Francis says it broke down. Since the supplies include gas, Francis forces himself to go to the basement, where he keeps having visions of his childhood. After filling the generator, he manages to bring power back. He turns on the AC and plays Iris' favorite music. The kids dance with him, but Iris just watches. Later Francis finds a box of tapes and decides to watch his wedding. Iris notices this but she walks away. Francis follows her to the kitchen and hugs her gently, convincing her to get naughty on the counter. Meanwhile Joshua has charged his phone and is getting dirty with his hand while watching videos of his girlfriend. He's interrupted by Lucas, who doesn't want to sleep alone. Joshua allows him to stay and they go through a box of their father's childhood things together, including some old pictures. Lucas notices that Joshua looks exactly like a younger Diego. The next morning, Francis tells Iris that he's sorry for hurting her, but now that his horrible family is gone, they can have a second chance. He wants to start a new life on this farm and Iris says okay, but she doesn't answer when he tells her I love you. Then Francis goes to the shed to get some eggs for breakfast and is shocked to find a wild dog. It keeps barking at him yet Francis still tries to scare it off, so the dog bites his hand. Then it steals a chicken and escapes through a hole it dug under the shed. Since Iris is a nurse, it's easy for her to take care of Francis' wound, but she thinks he should go to the hospital for a rabies shot. Francis slams the table and swears he's fine. Outside, Joshua manages to turn on the radio and hears the words Delta Camp, but sadly the batteries run out and he yells in frustration. When his parents check on him, Iris is excited to hear that Joshua may have a lead, but Francis claims that Joshua was imagining things. During dinner, Iris insists they should search for that Delta Camp and begs Francis to fix the car. However Francis thinks that judging by the zombies on the bridge, the camp won't be safe. They start arguing and Francis brings up all the death they've seen, like the breakout at Lucas' school. The memory disturbs Lucas, who rushes to his father's arms for comfort. Iris walks away from the table, feeling manipulated. The next morning Joshua asks Francis if they can turn on the generator again because he wants to play some music. When Francis says no, Joshua wishes for something to do and explains he wants to know who else is out there. Francis snaps and reminds him of what happened at the bridge, wondering if Joshua is brave enough to kill. When Joshua says he is, Francis takes him to the middle of the field and tells him the story of how his father taught him to defend the farm from thieves. After putting a jar on a stick, he gives the gun to Joshua and asks him to practice. Joshua opens fire but he doesn't hit the target, and the noise makes Francis have more visions of his childhood. Then Francis fixes Joshua's position and gives him a few tips before making him fire again, but it's another miss. Iris and Lucas come to check on all the noise and Francis says that Joshua needs to learn. He keeps pushing the boy with harsh words and ends up yelling at him, so Joshua fires several bullets until one hits the jar. This makes Francis see another vision of his terrifying father. Joshua is crying when he's done, and Francis takes the gun from him while saying he did well. Suddenly a bunch of zombies appear on the field following the sound of the gunshots. The family immediately starts running and the horde chases them. As soon as the family enters the house, they move a chest to block the door before running to hide on the upper floor. Francis peeks over the balcony and sees the zombies surrounding the house. Soon they're breaking the windows and pushing the doors open. At that moment a car horn begins ringing on the road. When it has the zombies' attention, it drives away as fast as possible and the zombies run after it. In the morning, Francis comes out to find the shed destroyed, all the chickens gone, and the eggs broken. Afterward he follows the road until he sees the car from last night by the river and discovers that the driver is his brother. Diego explains he's lost his family and Francis has to inform him that their parents are dead too. Then Diego apologizes for hurting Francis and explains he's going north, so he wants Francis and his family to come too, pointing out that the resources won't last forever. An angry Francis points the gun at Diego and tells him to stay away from his family, so Diego leaves a map before driving away. Francis grabs the map and gets ready to burn it, but he doesn't dare to. Then he notices that Diego left his jacket. When he goes home, he shows the jacket to Iris and tells her that Diego is dead. Growing more and more paranoid, Francis decides to board up all the windows. Iris lets Joshua smoke with her and says his smile is similar to someone's, but she doesn't say who. Meanwhile Lucas is trying to kill a fly and follows it to the basement, where he's startled by a zombie at the window. Iris immediately comes to comfort him and assures him that the zombie can't get in. She notices that it's getting weaker and theorizes that soon all the zombies will die, so they'll be able to leave. This is overheard by Francis, who refuses to lose his family. Later on the field, Francis looks for a zombie and chops off his head. Then he smears some zombie blood on his clothes before running back to the house as he screams. His family comes to check on him and he shows them the zombie head, pretending he was attacked. While the kids run back to the house in horror, Francis claims there are still lots of zombies out there so they must stay inside. In the bedroom, Francis takes off the dirty clothes to take a shower. Joshua sees the map fall out of the pockets but before he can grab it, Francis returns so Joshua runs away. In the evening, Francis surprises the family with some music and a shabby Christmas tree. It's only September, but he thinks they deserve something nice. During dinner, Francis asks them what they'd like to get for Christmas. Lucas chooses a bicycle and Joshua says he wants the map he saw in the bedroom, but Francis denies its existence. When Lucas asks for his wish, Francis admits he wants one more child. Iris thinks it's a terrible idea under the current circumstances, and after a short argument, she says her wish is to leave now because they barely have any food. Francis accuses her of not liking her own family and tells the kids that she had considered leaving them even before the outbreak. Iris has a breakdown as she apologizes to her kids and assures them it isn't their fault. Since she wasn't happy, she needed a bit of time away to heal her mind and come back as a better mother for them. Francis snaps and slams the table, demanding the rest of the truth. When Joshua tries to defend his mother, Francis calls him a bastard. It turns out Iris and Diego had an affair and Joshua is actually Diego's son. Iris yells at Francis for doing this in front of the kids and reminds him that she wanted to leave him, not the whole family, because she couldn't stand him anymore. When Iris asked for the map, Francis pulls it out and proceeds to burn it. Iris tries to stop him, but he easily keeps her at bay while the kids cry. Iris slaps her husband before running out of the room. Francis then sits again and tells the children to eat as if nothing had happened. Weeks later, Francis is looking for sugar canes on the field when suddenly he hears some gunshots. He doesn't see anything in the area, but he's still worried, so he goes home with a huge wooden plank and a chain to seal the front door. Francis tells his family that the zombies are still out there, but Joshua calls him a liar because they haven't seen one in weeks. Finally growing brave enough, Joshua accuses Francis of keeping them there by force like his father used to do to him. Slowly losing his mind, Francis insults Joshua and slaps him, getting blood on the watch. He yells that he did everything to keep them safe, so they must stay inside. The tense moment is interrupted by a knock on the door in a male voice. This stranger says he's a soldier and asks for their help. Francis tells him to go away and threatens to shoot him, but Joshua opens the door and an injured Corcuera falls through. Corcuera swears he wasn't bitten and shows them his skin while saying he comes from Delta Camp. His unit went to the city for supplies and on the way back they were attacked by zombies, so now all his friends are dead. Francis thinks this confirms he was right about the zombies being everywhere, but Corcuera says it depends on the area and that there aren't many creatures between the camp and this house. He also reveals he was sent here by Diego, who was also attacked. Iris realizes her husband lied, but Francis says she lied too. When Francis tries to kick Corcuera out, the rest of the family wants to help him. In the end, Francis allows him to stay but locks him up in the basement. In the middle of the night, Joshua wakes Iris up to tell her he's leaving. He can't stand Francis any longer and wants to check if Diego survived the attack. After they hug, Joshua asks her to come too, but Iris must stay for Lucas. The next morning, Francis wakes up after another nightmare about his abusive father. In the kitchen, he finds Iris and Lucas having breakfast with Corcuera, who has recovered from his wound. When Francis asks where Joshua is, Lucas says he doesn't know. Getting suspicious, Francis goes to the front door and finds it open, so he guesses what happened. Furious, he returns to the kitchen and hits Corcuera on the head with a hammer to kill him. Then he tells a terrified Iris that she must stay here before knocking her out. Sometime later, Iris and Lucas wake up in the basement. Iris pounds on the locked door, but it won't even budge. In the kitchen, Francis has breakfast while putting the soldier doll next to the dead body on the table. He's distracted when he hears the wild dog barking outside. Moments later, Francis enters the basement wearing the soldier's uniform and carrying a tray of meat. He invites his family to eat and Lucas wants to grab some, but Iris stops him because she doesn't trust it. Francis eats a bit before throwing the tray on the floor in frustration. While Francis tells them how his dad would get angry at him for not finishing his food, Iris sees the knife that fell from the tray and tries to grab it. However, Francis turns around so she hides it with her foot. She tells Francis some loving words to keep him distracted, but he says he can't trust her and picks up the knife before leaving. Freaking out, Iris throws the tray at the door before grabbing a metal bar. She uses it to pull off one of the boards from the window, however she ends up falling and the blow knocks her out. In the middle of the night, Lucas wakes Iris up with an idea. Suddenly he starts screaming, so Francis bursts into the basement to check on him. While Lucas pretends to be sick, Iris stabs Francis in the back. She takes the keys before she and Lucas run out of the room, closing the door right before Francis opens fire. Being down there makes Francis see all the traumatizing memories and have a breakdown. Iris and Lucas run outside only to find a zombified Diego feeding on the body. He repeats the word run before chasing them into the house. Iris tries to climb the stairs, but Diego grabs her legs and makes her fall. As Iris tries to block his bite, Lucas hits Diego with a flashlight. Diego then jumps on Lucas to attack him. Iris immediately throws objects at Diego to distract him and fights him with a chair. Hearing his family screams, Francis desperately pounds on the door until he manages to break the lock to escape. When Diego is about to bite Iris, Francis jumps on him and repeatedly smashes his head with the gun, not stopping until Iris asks him to. Afterward, Francis blames Iris for everything and gets ready to kill her, but he's interrupted by Lucas revealing that he's been bitten. Francis collapses in grief, so Iris has to work alone. After giving Lucas some medicine, she proceeds to chop the bitten arm off to stop the infection from spreading. It's quite a painful process, but at least Lucas is safe. Iris says he needs a hospital and a transfusion, so she begs her husband to get the car. Francis runs as fast as possible to make it to the bridge, where he finds Joshua with a gun. Before Francis can explain what happened, Joshua shoots him down. The shock immediately makes him regret it and he apologizes to his father in tears. Francis calls him my son before dying. Then Joshua gets in the car and starts making his way back. In the house, Iris apologizes to Lucas before she sees the car lights outside.